What's up, everybody? Super excited to have you here. Welcome back to the channel. It is I, Morgan Houston, aka Whiskey Mo, the internet's less famous academic. I am so excited to bring to you today an interview with a young man who is so self-aware. I'm so proud to have known him. He's going to talk about the Air Force Special Warfare Assessment and Selection process. This is the process that young men and women will go through if they want to be within Air Force Special Warfare, which is a group of 4 jobs: pararescue, combat control, special reconnaissance, and tactical air control party. And it is one of the hardest things that is available in the DoD. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. He will talk about why and how what happened. But I'm super proud of this young man and his ability to be open and talk about it. As always, if you find this kind of content interesting, please gently caress that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm hoping to do more of these videos. This one kind of fell in my lap, and I'm super happy that we got about it. But if you want to know when we do more of these, go ahead and hit the notification bell. And I'm super excited to have my conversation with Staff Sergeant Christian Powell. And I hope you guys enjoy. Leave your comments below. It's going to be very exciting, and I hope you guys enjoy the interview. All right, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me on the Whiskey Mo channel. My name is Morgan Houston, aka Whiskey Mo. I am the internet's least famous academic. I'm a scholar of irregular warfare, national defense, all these kinds of things. But today we're going to talk about some stuff that is a little bit more near to my heart. Today we got with us Staff Sergeant Christian Powell, who is a United States Air Force Airman who is just, unfortunately, no longer in the special warfare pipeline, but he has graciously offered his time to answer some questions and kind of talk about his process. So, hey, man, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So why don't you give us a little idea of who you are, like kind of where you come from, what made you join the Air Force, though, all those kinds of great, gritty details that we love.
Yeah, I was a Navy brat. Parents were divorced, so I had 2 dads in the Navy. One of them 30 years, one of them 20 years. I lived in Washington for a long time, and then we moved to Florida, and I joined the Air Force out of Florida. Originally, I was trying to be an air traffic controller in the Air Force. I found out, this is a crazy story of how I ended up here, but I found out about combat control 7 years ago now, and I was like, that is the only job I'll do. Well, about a year after I found out, I started training, talking to a recruiter. Something called COVID happened, and I got laid off of 2 jobs, and I had a side hustle that fell through as well. So I had about $20 to my name. I had a $2,000 car debt because I bought a piece of crap off of Craigslist or whatever, and I needed to go, so I took a SEER contract from my recruiter that shipped the next week. Get to MEPS, or I'm sorry, not MEPS. I passed everything at MEPS. I get to basic training, and they do another flight physical, or they do your class 3 flight physical, and they go through my records, and they found I took like Adderall when I was like 6 years old that I didn't disclose because I was 6 years old.
The classic, right? The classic.
And so they disqualified me from that, and they said, and I think a lot of this was probably a lie, but I just didn't know better at the time, but they said, since you have a guaranteed contract, we'll let you have any job you want, but you can't have a top secret clearance. Like, we're not giving it to you. It's like, okay, cool. I want to go be religious affairs. Well, you can't have that one. Actually, we just and I was like, oh well, okay. So what jobs can I still do that like I could shoot guns and stuff? And they're like, we got you. And they put me in security forces. So that was April of 2020, and that was when I found out I was going into law enforcement, and there was a bunch of stuff around that time about law enforcement as well. So it was just a very hectic time in my life. I went into Security Forces Academy in June of 2020. Graduated in, I think, August or September, August. And spent 6 years. I got to go to Turkey, England, and then San Antonio. in that 6-year time frame. So lots of different experiences that I'm grateful for. A lot of watching planes and a lot of scanning CACs, but a lot of different places that you get to do those things, which was really cool.
I don't think people realize how diverse of a career field security forces is, right? Like I think
It can be, yeah.
it's a super important job. It's really diverse. If you dedicate yourself to it, you know, you do it. It's a really cool thing. But obviously, wasn't really your gig, or you thought it wasn't your gig,
Yeah.
and you decided to cross train and go to special warfare assessment and selection for, I'm assuming, combat control.
No, it was TAC-P actually.
Oh,
Um,
hey, man after
yeah.
my own heart.
Yeah, I found out more about TAC-P, and I was like, my wife and I talked about it, and it sounded like a great job, and I still think it is. I think it's the coolest job, but we'll talk a little bit about why I decided to
Yeah.
quit.
So why don't you give me kind of a rundown of, you know, from decision to do cross training, because you're a first turn airman, which means you have some guarantees to cross train, and then the train up, and then we can kind of roll right into that and see what happens with what happened at assessment and selection.
Yeah, I about 2 years ago, my first child was born, my daughter, and my wife and I, she was my girlfriend a little bit earlier than that, but it was around that time that we got married and had our first kid, and we were very heavily considering getting out of the military. Um, just at that point in my life, I wasn't doing what I thought I was going to be doing when I joined. I only had a little bit of time left on my contract, so I was going to knock out some college, and then the baby came, and we were like, "Well, obviously, like it's a good idea to stay in." I don't know if anybody's watching knows how much a baby costs when you're not on TRICARE. It's a lot. So we stayed in, and I told my wife, "Hey, I'm the one that has to do the work in the military. If I'm gonna stay in the military, I wanna try this thing that I didn't get to try 4 years ago," at the time, 4 years ago. Um, and it was a little bit, I'm gonna be honest, it was really contentious in our relationship for a long time. Um, because we were back and forth on it. We At first it was combat control, and then it was TAC-P, and then for a long time it was EOD, and something happened where EOD was not accepting retrainees for about a year, and so then it was back to TAC-P. Um, and so you'll notice there's like this pattern of indecision that kind of comes
Mm-hmm.
up, and that'll play into, you know, later on. But um, so we had my first kid, and I decided to retrain, and I got really fat for me.
Hmm.
Like, you think after your first kid, you're like, well, you know, we're really busy right now. I'm just gonna sneak 1 or 2 orders of Cane's, or I'm just gonna, you know, go to Walmart instead of going to Sprouts, whatever it is, you know, drink soda instead of water because I had a long day, and it adds up really quick. And I think I gained probably 30 pounds after my daughter was born, which isn't a lot to some people, but to me, like at that point in my life, the most I'd ever weighed was like 130. So it was a very big, there's very big difference. So I started training for, I just started running to start because it was what I had access to. I could stay close to the house, and I remember the first time that I ran half a mile away from the house, and I was in San Antonio. It's hot, like 100
Hot,
something
so
degrees,
hot.
and I was dry heaving half a mile into my run, and I was like, "Oh my god, what has happened to me? I'm never gonna be able to do this." Um, and immediately the doubts were already there of like, how long is it gonna, I mean, it took me months just to run 4 miles, 2 or 3
Mm-hmm.
months, you know? But I just stayed with it, and after about a year, I was running very good. I was running very long, and I actually felt so confident in my running, I started doing a marathon training program, as well as training all my other stuff. I had to teach myself how to swim because I had gotten wind that TACPs were required to swim now, and that was a year and a half ago ish, which was kind of when the first whispers of this new selection course were coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was lucky enough to hear about it pretty early on, so I started training that and taught myself how to swim off of, what's it called? the book Total Immersion, the
Total
book.
immersion, yeah.
Yeah, and
That
I
book
did
that
the
book has been essential to dudes going into the pipeline for over 20 years. Like
yeah.
when I went through the combat control orientation course, I had read an old beat up copy of Total Immersion,
Oh my
and that was
gosh.
in 2001.
That's the year I was born, by the way.
Dude, you stop that. You stop that right
um,
now.
yeah, so I read Total Immersion. I read that, and then I did the 0 to 1650 program, which is really popular as well.
Mhm.
And those two got me to the point where I could do. I did the 18 Alpha Fitness program. I did about half of it, and then something happened in my life where I had to cut it short, and I felt really bad because I couldn't redo it. And
Mhm.
it's a great program, but you just can't restart it.
Yeah, Coach Edge is the best. He's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Everything that in that program, I will say, was very good, is what I'll say. Very important stuff. I did that program for as long as I could and stopped. And there was a lot of stop starts and hiccups along the way to get there. So um, I started taking my training really seriously, and man, I was doing the marathon training as well at the same time. And so I was running 30 miles plus a week every week for a while, and I felt great. And then finally my window came up for my first term airman retrain. And so, like, for the record, you can retrain before your first term airman window if you get an ETP, which you're allowed to get because of a memo, but it is a much smoother process when you just do your first term airman window,
Yeah.
because it just flies all the way through to AFPC, like very
Waivers
clean.
and
Yeah.
exception to policies are difficult. But before we get past this, as you start to file your paperwork, it doesn't really sound like you were having any issues with your leadership. Were they really supportive of you going through this process?
They didn't know. Um,
Oh, you were just kind of keeping it on the low, huh?
yeah, I mean, I talked to my supervisor at the time about it because so I was very lucky. I'm security forces, but I was working in a office position for about a year. And I had just started that position when right before my window opened. So I had about a 2 month buffer between me working flight, which is when you're like a normal security forces guy, working the gate, working patrol, that stuff. And about 2 months before I pushed the button for my retrain, I got a job working in the training section, which is training other dudes how to do that, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I did let them know because I was going to be doing the pool that I went to was only open during my lunch break. And so what I would do is I'd show up to work, do everything on my computer while I'm scarfing down all my food for the day, swim on my lunch break, come back, I would run after work, I'd weightlift in the morning before work, like I was jobbing it, and then I'd go home and take care of the kids. Well, right after I pushed the button, literally a month or two after, and I'm training for this thing, we find out my wife's pregnant again. And what a blessing, first of all. But a pregnant wife and a 1.5-year-old is of much higher demand at home. And so there were a lot of days um, that I wanted to be out training, but I had responsibilities at home. Um, and that's another theme that kept happening was I kept having to choose between my home life or this dream job that I wanted, you know? Um, and so there were days that I neglected my home life. There were days that I neglected my training. I was never 100% in on either one. Um, and that's a disservice to both of those things, you know? So fast forward just a little bit, I get closer to selection, and my wife and I are a little bit rockier because of, I'm telling her, like, I'm doing this thing. I need you to support me, blah, blah, blah. And she does. She says, you know what? If you want to do this thing, you better do it. You better go out there and crush it. I'll take care of the kids. You train as much as you need to. And that really, first of all, that really touched my heart. Like, I was like, yes, I've got the best wife, and I do. And then, I finally, right before selection, I'm hanging out with my kids. I'm on paternity leave for 3 months before selection, and I spent a lot of that time training with a baby, with a newborn. So I would take the stroller out for like 10-mile runs, or I would ruck with my oldest daughter in the stroller for a couple hours. And it was good training, but um get to selection and my wife drops me off with the kids. Um and I have kind of like a week of in processing before all the stuff starts. And I got to see my wife and kids a couple times before, and then just every day that I wasn't with them, I just kept thinking, man, I miss my kids. Like, and selection hasn't even started yet.
Mhm.
It's like, man, the guys I was sleeping next to, very nice guys, but both of them had some serious congestion problems, and they were just snoring so loud all night. And so I feel like I barely slept the week leading up to selection as well. And then I got what they had, which is the worst illness I've. Oh man, it was the wettest cough I've ever had in my life.
Ugh.
It's
Ugh.
it's awful. Um, so I get really sick right before selection, and I'm like, dude, I'm kind of effed up, But I'm pushing through, and fair play. Like there were some guys there, like even the captain, the TL, the girl that was in charge of everybody. She got it bad, and she was a dog. She was an animal. Like she was crushing it, even with a worse sickness than I had. So there's no excuses there. It's just these are the things that you don't think about when you go. Is like
Mhm.
how sick you're gonna get because you're with everyone from BMT. You know, um, and you're not like I'm a big supplements guy. I'll take extra vitamin C. I'll take elderberry syrup. Like you're not allowed to have that stuff there. So
Mhm.
so if you don't go to sick call and get Tylenol, you're not getting anything. I got Tylenol and Mucinex. Mucinex is not good to take before a workout, by the way. Oh
No.
man, that was the worst smoke. That was awful. I had the horse chief like in my face because I'm spitting out my, you know, because I just taken Mucinex. Right, I was like, "There's no way they're smoking us right now." Yeah, of course they are.
You
um,
wished it into existence, my friend,
I
like by
did.
just
I
saying,
was
"Oh,
like,
this is not. Oh shit, this is gonna end poorly."
I gotta be safe right now. There's no way they smoke us right after breakfast. Yeah, of course they do.
It's the
What?
best time. It's
That
your
was
right
the.
after breakfast, right after lunch. Man, I remember being there in San Antonio. Back then it was the Medina NX, and you come back from lunch and you're like, it wasn't a pool day, so you're just kind of like, I don't know what to do with my hands, man. Like I'm about to get something bad. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah, yeah, man. And the cadre there are very professional. They're just playing a
Mhm.
part. And they're very good at their jobs. But yeah, so I got really sick. We took the IFT, and I'm very comfortable with the IFT. Like I've never had a problem not hitting my numbers. I've had problems sometimes with my form, which I overcorrected. And so I lost a lot of numbers on push-ups, for example, but I was like, I'm never gonna not hit 40 push-ups. Um, no matter how sick. Like I could have double pneumonia, I could have COVID, everything, and I'd still hit 40 push-ups on an IFT. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Which is where you should be because you will get sick as a dog at selection.
Yeah, 100%.
So we do our we do our first IFT on that first day, and I'm sick as hell. And we go to do the sit-ups, and for the first time in my life, like actually the first time ever, I cannot do 2 minutes of sit-ups. I think I hit 59, and then I just felt the wall hit me, and I was like, wait, and I hear him go 30 seconds. Wait. So I'm like, and I literally grunted, and I heard the cadre behind me go, ugh, ugh, ugh. He's making fun of me, like, oh, this baby, you can't even do. The guy counting my reps goes, you can't even do 2 minutes of sit-ups. Pathetic. It's like that's not what you want to hear on day one of selection,
No.
man. And I'm like, and so I stand up, I go, "Who ya, sergeant?" And I'm just trying to I'm trying to look like cold, like a killer. And this is what I look like at selection, by the way, with this haircut and my Air Force PT gear that's too baggy. But I got through it. I got decent numbers on all my stuff. My swim was awful because if you've never swam in a pool with, I think I had 50 guys in this small pool, maybe less, but they're just kicking water straight into your mouth when you're taking your recovery breaths, which is
Hmm.
fine. You're still gonna. It's as long as you did the work beforehand, you're gonna be fine in the IFT at least.
Hmm.
But after that's game on. Like once you have your IFT done, they don't they do hold back for the first like 2 days a little bit. They'll still smoke you, but it's not to the extent that they start that next Monday, right? I think I'm saying too much. I'll try to tone it back, but
Yeah. Be careful. We don't want to give it too much away.
yeah. They will smoke you every day as soon as you take your IFT, is what I mean.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so that next day it starts, and I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. But then the next day it's worse. We had one guy. I won't say too much, but he was in really bad shape after that smoke session, and that I knew him. He was really nice. Um, but that got in a lot of guys' heads,
Hmm.
and a couple people rang the bell already, and then you know that's in your head all weekend. It's like, dude, this guy like, and then Monday comes around, and that was a for me at least that was a beat down because this was at Monday was the sickest I was for the whole course. I had developed at that time. I had just developed my ear infection in one ear,
Oof.
but I didn't know what it was yet. I just thought I still had water in my ear. Um, so I just pushed through Monday, and I barely slept Sunday night because I was trying to help the rest of the guys that didn't finish their stuff get squared away. So going into Monday, I only had a couple hours of sleep, man, and that's not smart. Like you
Yeah.
got to help your guys, but you also have to realize like when everyone else is done, there's a couple guys who barely have anything done. I'm not saying, leave them behind, but you also have to remember like you got to sleep, bro. This
Well,
is
I think it's one of those things that a lot of people don't, especially as a cross training. I know Aaron Love talks about it, has talked about it a couple of times when he went back through Induct the second time. When you're an NCO, when you're a sergeant, you're expected to be a leader, if
absolutely.
not as much, if not more than your team leader, right? Because you're leading young guys, you got to help them out. But at the same time, there's a point when you have to understand that like this is an individual selection process. Like I can help them, and if they don't get it done, we're gonna all suffer. But at the same time, I got to look out for me too. It is the weirdest mind screw that you can ever think of, being like, well, I got to help my guys, but I got to worry about me too. You know?
Yeah, so we stayed up and helped we stayed up and helped everyone we could until around like 11:30 at night. Which is when you're getting up at 4ish. I got up at
Mhm.
that early. That you're not required to. But as an NCO, you want to take care of the other guys, so you want to get up earlier and all that. Um, yeah, that day really screwed with me mentally because that was I got you know physically when you can do it, it just sucks doing it,
Mhm.
you know. And when you get to that point where, for me, I was super sick. Uh, I kind of naively thought selection would be a little bit fun because of all the stories I heard online. It's not
Hmm.
fun at all.
I hope I didn't contribute too much to that, man.
No,
I really.
it's everybody because they talk fondly about it, but there's
Mhm.
a difference between fondly remembering how bad it was and it being fun. And
Yeah,
I
very much.
remember after that first like real beatdown, I was like, this isn't fun at all. I was like, I want to go home, and I did. And I I got to a point mentally where, so I decided to stay that night because I was like, there's no point quitting now. I already freaking made it through the day. But
Hmm.
a seed was in my head of like, man, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep and I don't get over this illness soon, because I had gotten to a point where I couldn't keep any food down,
Oof.
at all. Like I was gagging every meal. That following morning, I puked out a lot. And what I'll say is like, mm, we still had very good weather, and I felt like I was gonna heat cat because
Oof.
I just couldn't keep any calories in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I started getting in my own head, and low key I was thinking about it, and I was like, I can do this physically. Like I prepared very well for it. I ran all the miles, I did all the rucking. And we can talk about stuff I wish I prepared better for, but like physically I know I can do this no matter how sick I am. I don't want to do this.
Mm.
This sucks. Like TACP is an amazing job, and all the guys that are out there doing it are studs. Like once you know like what it takes to do that, even if it's just a taste of it, like you gain so much respect. But I just didn't want it that bad to put myself through that.
So why don't you expound on that a little bit? Like this was something that the main reason I wanted to talk to you about this and put this out there for guys is because you've been very honest and very open about why you chose to SIE to quit the selection process. And
Yeah.
that's not always the case. A lot of guys, their ego still gets to them
Mm.
and they say something. And I think that there's a lot of value in being honest about the way we do it. Cause like for me, like, I mean, I've got it like right there, right? Like there's the little floppy hat, right? Like I
Yeah.
obviously made it. So I can't always speak on those kinds of things. But for you, you've been very open and honest. And I think it's really helpful for people to understand. What do you mean by you really need to want it? You really need to desire it.
Yeah. So like for me, there were two things that I really wanted in my life. I mean, this is still fresh, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to kind of remember what my headspace was like. But I was just thinking about it, and I was like, "There's only two things I really want. I want to have a really good relationship with my kids, and I want this job. That's it." One of those things was above the other,
Mm-hmm.
and like you can want to be whatever. Like I still want to be a TACP. But do I want to wake up every day miserable, puking out my food? Um, I ended up getting stage 3 ear infections in both ears. You know, like how bad do you want to go on a ruck with 3 digits, in that ruck? Um, when you are starving because you can't eat, you haven't seen your family in weeks, and by the way, you're going to be doing this for the next 2 years. It's not like after selection it gets easier. And I knew that because I have friends that are after selection and they were like, "Yeah, dude, it doesn't get easier. It gets harder. And you have more responsibilities." Oh, and and so all those things, and it's in your head and you're like, "I don't want it that bad." And you have to. Like if you want that
Mm-hmm.
beret that bad, you can do it. Like it's not an impossible task. It's just if you don't want it, you're not going to do it. And I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did. Like I really honestly thought before going that I wanted it that bad. And then, man, I opened my lock screen in the morning. The morning that I quit, I opened my lock screen. It was a picture of my kids. And I think that was already when I decided to quit. But I was like, if I still want to quit after lunch, I'll quit. I did all the events up to lunch. I actually crushed it. Like I did very well for how sick I was. Um, I was helping other dudes. I did very well in the pool. A lot of guys quit in the pool, which it was not hard yet. I'll be completely honest. Like if you're gonna train for this, you have to do your your buddy breathing, your mask and snorkel, your basic water con stuff. You have to do it because too many people quit stuff that was not hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, like I got through all of it. We got through another event. I'm not going to talk too much about the specific events, but and I got through lunch and I could barely eat still. And I just kind of I looked at my TL and I was just like, "Hey, I'm done. I want to go home. I don't want it that
Yeah.
bad." And she's like, "Yeah, I could tell." And that is what it is. Like it doesn't make
Yeah.
you a bad person. It's just
Not at all.
once you realize you don't want it that bad, like that I'm kind of glad I did because, if I would have kept pushing, I already mentally knew I wasn't going to do it. I would have just been there longer.
Yeah. It's interesting because there's two things there that I think that are really interesting. Because a lot of times when we talk to the young pups when they're getting ready to go to these things, we tell them set really quick, really easy milestones like the 5 meter target, like get to lunch, right? And then you did that, but then it also shows that the idea of the job isn't enough, right?
Yeah,
Like you really need to desire to do this mission, right? Because all service is honorable. Like if you raise that right hand and say,
absolutely.
"Hey, I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution," right? Like that's super honorable. Doesn't matter what you do. You hand out towels at the gym or you're a special operator, right? Doesn't matter. All your service is honorable. But there are levels to this, and if you don't
Yeah.
really, you're not really locked into what that because like this isn't. It's not just to make things hard. Like there's rationales behind why we do all these things.
Yeah, because if you're on a mountain in Afghanistan and it's negative 20 degrees outside, and there's somebody up there that needs to get rescued, dude, I learned real quick. I was in perfect weather with that weight, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I had much better sleep the day that I quit, and I decided, you know what, if I was and that you're thinking I was at least for me, I was thinking about it. If I was on an actual mission right now, I couldn't quit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's real. Then that's what makes it real. And you're like, I think the job is super cool and I would love to do that, but I don't want to be miserable for the next however many years to do that. And some guys eat it up. Like there were some guys on their face and they were doing the exact same events as me and they were just having a blast. And I was like, and I'm usually that person. I'm usually the optimist, and I just could not fake a smile. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want it like these guys do. I don't. I want to go home and eat my sugary pops. Like my candies. I want to go home and I want to do a 18-mile ruck and then go home and take a shower, and that's it. That's my thing for the day. And I think,
So
you know,
yeah. So clearly, even being physically fit, like that's like the pay to play. But what would you tell all the bubbas who are looking to do this thing to how to kind of approach this thing mentally?
yeah, I mean, I could tell you how not to approach it mentally. So, because
Hey,
I didn't make it. Um,
yeah.
man, I would just say like it's really hard with a family. At least it was
Mm-hmm.
for me. And I'm not saying do the selection if you don't have kids. Like, don't go. I'm not saying that. There were other people that had kids that were crushing it. Um, there were some people that had kids younger than mine, and my kid is 4 months old. You know, it's totally a possibility. Like you can do it. But really, and I wish I was more honest with myself before the selection and really said like this is the only thing I want to do, because it wasn't. I had other priorities in life. This has to
Mm-hmm.
be the only thing that matters to you, even if you're married, even if you have kids. It has to be the only thing on your mind. It has to be driving you crazy. And I kind of told myself it was, but it wasn't. I had beautiful children to come home to. I had home cooked meals that were amazing. Dude, when you go from my wife literally cooked a homemade like chicken pot pie right before I left. I ate that and then had to go eat the DFAC food during selection.
And it's
I
not like the
think
DFAC food is the worst out there, man. Because like you could be
no.
on a Marine Corps base eating their food.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that bad. And it was just for me, it was just bad enough that I was like, I could literally quit right now and I could go home and have chicken pot pie, you know? And it sounds silly, but it's so true. Um, and I like a lot of people as soon as they quit, they're like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that." I was this happiest person on the planet when I quit. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie, because for me, I went, I saw what it was, and I realized what it was.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, we like a self-aware man here. You know, that's a good thing.
appreciate.
Like, I think being honest with yourself is really important because I met a lot of like when I went to ALS, right? I Airman Leadership School
Love
for those of you who
ALS.
I actually loved ALS because now granted I had just gotten back from a deployment in Iraq. So like I
Oh,
my
what an
ALS,
environment! Yeah, what a
right?
vibe
Like
check.
I've got the blouse boots and the beret, and I look like I've been in for 3 years. I look like I've been in for 12, you know. And like I'm a mediocre TAC P at best, right? And so just like, but you run into guys like, yeah, I quit, but it was really because the cadre hated me, man. And I was like, it's like their entire personality is that they almost made it, or and
Yeah,
like respect for at least trying, but like be a little self aware, man. you know.
yeah, man. Like, no, I you don't understand until you go. I'll be the first person to say I was a bit naive going into it, and I had a little
Mhm.
bit of judgment for people who had said they quit before, and I was like, "Ah, couldn't be me." Like, and then you go and you're like, "Oh," and maybe that's just because I did quit, but now you once you go and you understand, like, it can't be for everybody. It can't.
No, it can't.
It's they're so they're looking for such a specific type of individual, at least as far as I could tell.
hmm
Um,
Well, and you can see it like when I mean, so for everyone out there in internet land, I know Christian from the Air Force Special Warfare Discord, and we've got about 2,000 guys in there, guys and gals, and you can see the guys who just like run their mouth and they think they know everything, and
so
then I'm just like I'm counting down the days. I'm like, oh, when are you going? When are you going? Because I want to see how you react because out of the probably I think because people have left the server, probably about 3,000 guys in the 4 years that we've had the server. And I think we have 10 TAC Ps who've made it. I think we have probably about 15 EOD guys who have made it. A controller. We have an SR guy who's about to get into SRAC. I mean, so it's like it's really rare for these things to succeed.
yeah.
And like they don't seem to understand how hard it really is and that it's not just for them. And like it's probably something for you too. Like you probably wish you listened to people a little bit more, right?
Yes, I mean, it's hard because I did the right things. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
prepared the right way, I,
I'd agree.
trained the right way, my VO2 max was, like, almost 60. Like, I'm in great shape, it just at the end of the day, it just wasn't for me, and so there's
But it's
this
those little
it's
things
lined up. Yeah.
that when you listen to the guys who've been there and done that, like when they're talking
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
because like the guys who've been there, and like I said, I'm nothing, I'm no one special, but like I made it. I've been through there, and
Yeah.
it's the little things that we're talking about that have nothing to do with the physicality of it all, right? Because I think that's probably for you, like understanding that like this is just a taste of what these career fields are going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I mean, yeah, I really I can't stress enough, like, selection is just what you're gonna be doing, but also you have a mission to accomplish. Like, physically,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be doing those things physically, and, by the way, you have to call in an airstrike, or you have to, do expert reconnaissance at a ground level, or, you have to set up an airfield in the middle of
Or
nowhere,
pull a Wizzo out
you
of
know?
Iran, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like none of those things are like, if you ever listen to the Operation Red Wings,
Mhm.
the crow that was in charge of that, he was telling people, like, that there were actual PJs who had already been through everything, and they're pulling bodies down from the mountain. Or was it Red
Mhm.
Wings or was it Extortion? It was one of those 2.
It was
And
extortion.
it was Extortion. and they're just
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I can do another body. And you're talking about
Yeah.
some of the most physically fit people on the planet that have already gone and been assessed.
Been assessed, been through PJU, multiple
Yeah,
combat. I remember hearing those conversations because unfortunately, the Harvell brothers were two pretty legendary combat controllers, and one of them was on extortion,
God.
and he was killed. And that kind of broke me. Luckily, I was out at that point, but I remember listening to it and hearing these like. I think the Crow who was on that guy. I think he was actually an enlisted J before he was a Crow,
I think he
and like
was.
and he's saying stuff, he's saying these things, and it's like it just wrecks you, man. It's like because you also have to do the mission in addition to being physically fit, and you have to be academically sound, you've got to be tactically proficient, all of these things. And that's why like that first, that 4 weeks of ANS is just like I said, a taste, you know.
Yeah, and if you get the taste and you don't like the taste at all, like for me, I had a really honest conversation with myself, and I really honestly just went, yeah, I don't think I'm that guy, and
Mm,
I don't want to waste my time when I could just go home,
yeah,
and
that's fair, man.
that killed my ego. I'll tell you, like I had a little bit of a pity party for about an hour. My pity party was during an event, by the way. So I was hacking up a lung the whole time, and the instructor's like, "Why aren't you jodying?" Or not. um, oh, who you sergeant? I started singing or whatever, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, I don't think I'm that guy." And man, I want to say though that the quality of people there is just miles above. They're incredible guys. They're all super self-motivating, hard, physically fit, you know, and you don't always find that in the regular Air Force. So I,
Hmm.
I appreciated the experience I had there, but I also recognize like that's not me, or at least it isn't right now. Maybe
Yeah.
in the future, maybe back before I had kids, but right now it's just not for me.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you maybe one or two more serious questions, and I got some a little bit more lighter ones that we can end on. What is next for Staff Sergeant Powell?
The immediate future is I go back to work as a cop here, and I'm kind of looking at. I mean, like I said, I'm still recovering. Like I just got over my ear infection. It was about to pop. Like my eardrums
Mhm.
were almost bursting, which played no insignificant part in me quitting. By the way,
Yeah.
I just want to point that out as well. But yeah, just looking at what's next in the future. Whether that means like there's some really cool opportunities in security forces.
Hmm.
If I
That's what
don't,
I was about to ask. I wanted to
yeah,
see if you were maybe thinking about doing either Phoenix Raven or Dagger, some of those really cool opportunities that they have.
yeah, I haven't completely decided because one of the big things that I left for was I want to be home with my kids right now, and it would be
Hmm.
kind of hypocritical to go and do Dagger. Dagger is gone all the time.
They're gone. They're gone
Phoenix
more
is
than some
gone.
FP guys,
Yeah,
right?
they're gone all the time because planes don't stop flying.
Never.
So
Yeah.
I mean, there was other like the BDG in Moody is really cool. If I
Go
don't,
work for some TACPs there that way.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's a cool job. Um, but just looking at like long term, I don't think I want to stay in security forces long term. Not for 20.
Mm.
Uh, like you said, it's a very diverse career. It's just not exactly what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah,
So
you got to love it, right?
yeah, right now I'm exploring options. Air Force firefighting is really cool. I looked into
Hmm.
that. I looked into even EOD. If all else fails, uh, that's a horrible thing to say about EOD. EOD is an amazing job,
It is. It
and
really is.
that's actually the first thing I wanted to do. Um, but EOD has that memo where they kind of have to let you go try for it. So
Hmm.
that's me and my wife have to talk about that as well. It's such a cool job.
It
Like,
is. It really is.
if nothing works out, probably just finish my degree and try to commission into something interesting. But I'm probably going to
That's
stay in the
cool.
military.
That's cool. Um, so last kind of serious question before we get into a little bit more chill topics. What is the one piece of advice that you would give the Bubbas before they either hit the button to cross train or they join the Air Force to try this thing?
Yeah, man. Okay, I'll tell you the question that I asked myself before I quit. And it was one of the instructors there posed this question to us, and he said, this is what got him through selection. He said, every night, every minute, every lunch, whatever, he asked himself, who am I?
Mm.
I would challenge you to ask, who am I? Because if I had asked that question earlier and more often, I think I would have answered it before having to go to selection.
Mm.
And that was, I asked myself that question every night and every meal at selection, and I just kept coming to the same answer, which is I'm a dad.
Mm.
I'm a husband. I never answered that question with I'm a future special operator, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say. Just ask yourself, who am I? Like, and mean it. Be completely honest with yourself.
That's great, man. Good on the cadre for putting that out there. I think that's really, really important because like if you don't, yeah, if you, I think I really, if you don't picture yourself at the end, you know, blousing your boots and throwing on that little silly floppy hat, you know. Yeah, that's really good, man. I think that's really awesome. So I've got a couple of questions, and then I'll let you get back to your family and recover,
Sure.
man. So, what's on your training playlist? What are you listening to when you're running or rucking?
This is kind of embarrassing.
Do it.
I unless I was running for more than an hour and a half or rucking for more than an hour and a half, I did the David Goggins thing where Master Sergeant Goggins thing where no music. You know, I was I was who's going to carry the boats? Um and just the irony in that, by the way. But
Yeah.
if I would do I did some audiobooks.
Okay.
I did a lot of Linkin Park, Deftones, that kind of thing.
Good choices, man.
Thank you.
Deftones. I love me
Thank
some
you.
Deftones.
So good. My wife got me into Deftones, actually. She's a big fan.
Yeah, I remember when this again. You've already outed me at how old I am. I remember when that album, that Deftones self-titled album, came out with the chick on the front with "Chains of the House of Flies" came out, and it just rocked our world when I was in high school, man. Like it was
Yeah.
wild.
Well, the first band I ever sang, and I've been listening to them a lot lately. My mom tells me this is my first band, is Alice in Chains. I've been listening
Good
to a
choice too.
lot. Yeah.
That's
All
a
that
good one.
grungy, like
Mhm.
grunge, post-grunge, new metal, all that stuff. Love it.
So what was the audiobook that you enjoyed the most while you were listening to audiobooks?
This is so out of. Well, actually, I listened to. Do you know who John Krakauer is?
Yes.
He wrote Into the Wild. I listened to
Mhm.
all of his books while I was training for this.
Under
I
the Banner of
listened
Heaven
to,
is one of my favorite books.
yeah, very, very. I don't want to get into that, but
No,
it
that's
opened
a
my
big one.
mind a lot. Yeah,
But I will say Under the Banner. I read Under the Banner of Heaven in Afghanistan, and it was fucking great. It was amazing.
it's such a good
So
book.
good one. I like that. But Into Thin Air is phenomenal. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I just reread
So
it.
yeah, so big celebration, like say birthday, anniversary, or something. Where are you going?
As a kid, I would go to Rainforest Cafe for
Oh
every
heck yeah.
birthday. Every
Yeah.
birthday. I loved it. But now, oh man. Dude, I just want to bring my kids somewhere. Like
Cool.
just love watching whenever if you have kids, whenever they see something for the first time, it's the best. I don't know how to describe it. It's the
Well,
best feeling.
let me recommend one for you then. If it's kids, man,
Please.
I know San Antonio has a pretty decent rodeo. Take them to the rodeo, or
Yeah,
drive out to Houston and go see the Houston rodeo
I would love
next
to.
year.
I was
That's a
going
blast.
to this year and I was training, so I didn't go. But next
That's a
year,
good one. Yeah. All right. Last question before I let you go. What's the one thing that you nerd out about?
philosophy. I
Oh,
have
dope.
a very passive interest in philosophy. I read a lot of like I've read like 5 or 6 of Dostoevsky's books. I had
Okay.
tried and failed to read War and Peace. Um,
That's less philosophy and just Russian.
yeah, well, it's weird because it's still considered like okay, I'll say classic literature then.
There you go. Yeah,
Philosophy
yeah,
and
yeah.
classic literature. I think I forgot the word, but it falls under something. Tolstoy, all of his stuff falls under like
Yeah,
some
Tolstoy's
big word.
weird because he covers so much, right? So
Yeah,
like he was just a good writer, but he was also one of the very first Christian anarchists
yeah,
politically. So like he's got political philosophy that's really interesting to read. I mean, remember academic here, so
yeah, yeah. That's why I felt safe bringing it up.
yeah.
But Dostoevsky, Nietzsche,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
just started reading. What book did I get recently? The Social Contract by
Okay.
Rousseau, I believe.
Yep.
Um,
I would recommend for you reading Plato's Republic.
that's on my list. My list is very long.
Yep.
Um,
My
and
my for fun
love
TBR is like
Camus.
500 books, and then I
Love
have other
Camus.
options.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I love philosophy. I love all those things. I appreciate
That's awesome.
you having me on here.
Of course, man. I'm very appreciative of you doing this. For those of you, if you want, we are both on the Air Force Special Warfare Discord server. I'm going to put a link in the thingy below. Dude, again, thank you so much for coming. Like, I really appreciate your honesty, your openness, and like your self awareness. Like that's freaking phenomenal, dude. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. Tell me that you want to hear more of this stuff. Also, please thumbs up, or as I like to say, gently caress that like button. Hit the dong of the notification bell if you want to go. But as always, Christian Powell, thank you so much. And until next time,
Yeah,
y'all,
absolutely.
be well.
Thank you.